In this video, we'll review how to check cutter bar flotation, make necessary adjustments, and the operation of the 3100 Series 2 Draper header. To check cutter bar flotation, raise the header until the cutter bar is approximately 305 millimeters or 12 inches off the ground. Then, starting from the center and working outward to each end, press the guards attached to the runner arms to the bottom of their range and release. The tip of the guard should rebound 5 to 20 millimeters, or 0.2 to 0.8 inches above the lowest point. This is an initial starting point, and can be fine-tuned as needed. If the cutter bar does not provide this level of flotation, adjust the linkage at each runner arm, starting at the center and moving outwards to ensure consistency across the cutter bar. If the Draper header is equipped with manual flotation adjustments, the adjustment points are found at the rear of the header. Turning the adjustment bolts clockwise will remove weight from the cutter bar, decreasing ground pressure. Turning the bolts counterclockwise will add weight to the cutter bar, increasing ground pressure. Keep in mind each point of adjustment will have some effect on the flotation setting of the neighboring runner arm. Again, start from the center of the header and work towards the outside. Once each arm has been adjusted, it's a best practice to double-check the flotation at each flex arm. Ground pressure is too high if the cutter bar skids are pushing dirt and trash. The spring tension should be increased to provide more lift to the cutter bar. Ground pressure is too low if the cutter bar rides up and over stubble, bounces excessively, or will not float down in low spots. Spring tension should be decreased to provide less lift to the cutter bar. If your Draper header is equipped with in-cab flotation adjustment, position the float indicator at 0. If you have an older model, it may be equipped with a different decal. Position the float indicator to the number 4 position. With the float indicator at 0, ensure the header is fully raised and the safety stop is lowered. Starting at the center and working your way outward, adjust the turnbuckles as needed to correctly adjust the flotation on the support arm, and tighten the jam nut when finished. Lastly, lower the header until the cutter bar is approximately 305 millimeters, or 12 inches off the ground, and validate that each guard attached to a flex arm rebounds 5 to 20 millimeters, or 0.2 to 0.8 inches when pressed to the bottom of its range and released, as described previously. Regardless of what type of adjustment system your Draper is equipped with, you should always reevaluate the flotation setting after 10 to 15 hours of operation, especially if the header is brand new. Model year 2019 and newer headers feature an airbag flotation system for the center knife drive. This option can be added to earlier produced headers with kit part number 515-19017. The airbag system is only for the center knife drive, and any adjustments here will only affect flotation in the center of the head. Raise the header fully at the feeder and lower the safety stop. The bottom bracket for the airbag is positioned using an adjustment bolt located at the rear of the header. Tighten this bolt until the lower surface of the bracket is level with or slightly above the nearest frame profile. If the airbag brackets push material during operation, the distance between the bracket and the frame can be increased to 20 millimeters, or 3/4 inch at maximum. The air pressure in the system may change during these adjustments. Pressure can be removed from the system at the relief valve and added to the system at the fill valve. The recommended starting pressure is 3.8 bar, or 55 psi. The air pressure may be raised or lowered as needed to provide the desired flotation force at the center section of the cutter bar. Increase the air pressure to provide lighter flotation in soft or muddy fields, or fields with stones. Reduce the air pressure to increase the weight of the cutter bar on the ground, to limit bouncing in rough fields or hard ground. The flotation at the center of the cutter bar is controlled by air pressure within the system. Adjusting the manual flotation or the optional in-cab flotation systems will not notably affect the flotation force at the center of the cutter bar. Next, follow these steps for on-ground auto header height control, or AHHC operation and calibration. If the header has manual float adjustment, ensure the flex arms are in the unlocked position, allowing the cutter bar system to flex. With in-cab float adjustment, ensure the flex arms are in the unlocked position and the float indicator is at the 0 position or the number 4 position on older models. Make sure the AHHC sensors are enabled in the display on the home screen, toolbox, head 2. Ensure an AHHC calibration has been properly performed on the home screen, Calibrations, Header. AHHC sensors should be recalibrated at the start of every season, anytime a sensor is replaced, anytime weight is added or removed from the head, anytime there's changeover between the on-ground AHHC system or the optional off-ground AHHC system. During operation, the header height indicator scale will indicate the position of the cutter bar within the float range. For most operating conditions, set the cut height so the pointer is in line with the center black mark on the scale. When operated in this position, the flexible cutter bar will have 76.2 millimeters or 3 inches of upward and 76.2 millimeters or 3 inches downward float to properly follow ground conditions. For soft or moist soil conditions, the header indicator can be set at a lower position on the scale. Operating the indicator at a lower position will reduce cutter bar ground pressure. If harvesting crop that requires the header operating off the ground, ensure that all flex arms are locked in place with the provided locking pins. The center pins are slightly different than each runner arm pin. Next, deploy the off-ground header height sensors. Switch the sensor connections located behind the left-hand end shield. Make sure the electrical connectors labeled LH, HT, tilt, and LC height are plugged into the respective sensor assemblies and securely connected. Repeat this process behind the right end shield. For optimum cutter bar angle during operation, the header can be tilted fore and aft. This adjustment is made by pressing the shift and reel fore and aft buttons on the multifunction handle. For machines equipped with feeder fore aft, make sure to select Header at the bottom of Header 2 screen. While operating in average conditions, the cutter bar should be in the middle at the number 3 position. If the header is pushing material and debris at the cutter bar, tilt the header back or decrease the number on the scale. If the cutter bar is cutting high or the back of the head is contacting the ground, tilt the head forward or increase the number on the scale. Following these guidelines for setup and operation will increase the productivity of your 3100 Series 2 Draper header.